Okay, so welcome to the Collaborate Communication Design Strategy, our first session. My name's Lauren Martin, and I'm the ELA and the unit coordinator, so you can come to me for all your questions and I'll see you on Miro board. So we're going to talk about Miro board, extensions, learning outcomes. We're going to review the assignment requirements, where we should be, what the criteria are, and then we'll have a look at a finished assignment. So feel free to ask questions throughout, and then there's a bit at the end where I'll ask again. So everyone should have their invitations already, and most of you have been joined to the board. If you haven't been joined, let me know as soon as possible so I can add you. It's really important to develop your design and collaboration skills and share your work and to give feedback and receive it. And I just gave a reference today actually, and one of the questions they asked was, how does the person who I was giving the reference for, how do they take feedback? So it's a really important part of professional life to be able to give and receive that feedback. And also the other great thing is that if you do get that feedback, you're able to move quickly through your project and make decisions and sort of discard ideas that you're unsure of. So Miro board specifically allows for formative feedback, which is the feedback that you get as you're forming your project. And then the summative feedback is the feedback that you get at the end. So if you want, let me know when you've posted and tag me by @Lauren_Martin, and also use the @project tag, and that will tag the whole class if you're wanting feedback from everyone, which is a really great thing to ask for. And also specific questions like, what do you think of the color, or what is a preferred font? Those are really great questions to get answers on. This is your reminder for looking after yourself. So think about, have you had enough sleep? Are you eating nutritiously? Are you drinking enough water? Even though it doesn't sound that important, it's really important to be able to concentrate. And is your study space quiet? Do you feel comfortable in the right mindset to study? Do you have all the support you need, and have you set realistic goals? And also, how will you recognize your achievements? And all of those things are really important to get to that top of this Maslow's hierarchy of needs here with that self-actualization. So consider all those things so that you can be as successful as possible. Plan to succeed is a really great sort of idea to live by, to make really good plans. So for 24-hour and 48-hour extensions, they're granted by the ELA, and longer extensions need to go through the student portal and they go to the unit coordinator. So I'm both of those people in this unit, so they'll all come through to me. So, but if you're unsure, you can just email me. But it is great to have the longer extensions through the portal. Communication is really important, so let us know if you've been sick, etc. And we're student focused, so we want to be supporting you effectively. There is also lots of support from student services, and if you do have any issues that interfere with study, that are ongoing mental or physical issues, you can also get an accessibility plan, and this is really great because sometimes those things can kind of crop up and impact your due dates. So if you do have anything like that, get in contact with them and they can help you set up those plans. So for this unit, each week the discussions explore the weekly readings, and the review and feedback elements are important in part of the design process and are assessed as part of the assignment. So providing feedback, as I was talking about before, that really fine-tunes your critical eye and your own understanding of the concepts, and it allows you to reflect on your work when you're giving feedback as well, which is really good. So this is the timeline for communication design strategy. So assignment 1 is due on Monday, the 13th of December, and that's week 6, and that's great because that's, before our consolidation week and the Christmas period. So you submit that and you can go off and have a lovely Christmas time, not worried about assignments to submit. And our next one is due in February, the 11th of February, which is the Friday of week 12. And they're worth 50% each. And we'll go into more detail about them here. So these are the scheduled dates for communication design strategy. The first one here is the Collaborate session. And then in about 2 weeks, on Thursday, the 25th of November, we'll do like a design sprint, which is, if any of you have been in a unit with me before, it's about going around to each student and providing feedback and it gives you a sort of deadline before the deadline. So these are just 2 little sessions to do that I've planned, and they're just at the moment they're just sort of penciled in. So I'll confirm them closer to the date, I may also do what I did last semester, which the capstone students, which was do little video chats as well, which is really helpful on Miro board to get really quick feedback about your work. And that worked really well last semester, so I might do that as well at those particular times. But in addition to that, in general, I'm on Miro board every 48 hours, so that's how long you'll usually expect to hear back, or before, just depending on the timing. So usually it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. So today I'm due to go on there, and then once on the weekend. Okay. So the outcomes, the learning outcomes, is to produce a research-instigated communication design strategy, to integrate research methods relevant to design inquiry, to develop strategic and appropriately designed concepts and applications for a selection of media systems, and to reflect upon and evaluate the viability and sustainability of the final outcome and recommended communication design strategy, and to produce a strategy and design outcomes as an integrated strategy document, and to finally to deconstruct the elements of communication design strategy into components of meaning that relate to a wider social context. So the first assignment for this unit is focused on developing a communication design strategy for this year's Swinburne Mental Health Week. The assignment 1A process journal is 15% and the presentation is 35%. And the idea is that you are going to promote awareness around the importance of good mental health and direct students to a greater awareness of the Swinburne services and support around mental health. As research has shown, this needs to be improved. So you need to consider a theme for the week, and to engage the audience on campus and online students, and encourage participation in the event. So develop a design strategy for Swinburne Mental Health Week, and also consider that you are part of the target audience for this campaign, and but also remember that not every student will think just like you. So a real key part of this is to identify the audience. It needs the campaign needs to specifically promote awareness around the importance of good mental health, and to resonate with that intended audience and address their specific mental health concerns, and to drive users to the event day media touch points and the digital and social media and support resource and services via that Swinburne Health website. So the key questions to consider is, why is the event important? How will you help people? How will you tell people about it and get them involved? What sort of incentives can be employed to do this? And how can we engage the audience in interesting and unexpected ways? So the first part of the assignment is the process journal. So here's some examples down the side here, and I've also got one to show you as well. But it is a third year unit, so you want to consider how you will lay this out. and you want to use clear subheadings and headings, and annotate your sketches like these ones here, and include your tasks from the weeks 1 to 5, and describe in your reflection how it's contributed to the development of your communication design strategy for your project. So ideally the 1A brings all the work together, and you want to set up a multi-page document in InDesign or similar to keep track of your work. So and take screenshots and photos of the process as you go along is what's recommended to do, so it's easily collated. Then the second part of this is the 1B presentation. So this is a formal professional design strategy pitch presentation presented to a client. The presentation document will be an on-screen PDF, which you also need to submit with your link to your video. And you want to describe the what, why, who and how of your design strategy, and include key facts and insights about the brief, the client and the audience, as well as the personas, positioning, and at least 3 rough concepts for the campaign. And that's a 5 to 7 minute long video. So not finished design work, just the concepts. So at this point in our weekly tasks, we should have, we're up to week 1, so develop a mind map of words and ideas that come to mind when you think of mental health. And then a second mind map about the needs of students and mental health, and brainstorm the 3 different on-campus and digital media activities that you think would be a good fit for Swinburne Mental Health Week event, and develop 3 personas demonstrating diversity across age, gender, ethnicity, as well as where the persona lives, the income level, and the family relationship status. So really consider the diversity of the Swinburne student cohort, and look at all of the information in the Swinburne annual report. There's a lot of detail in there about who the students are. So for assignment 1A, the task is the weekly design studio task that's described here. So for high distinctions in these, you want to have an excellent resolution of the task. And so just considering what that means, we want to sort of explore ideas. And this picture, I love this picture. It's the shoe hat by Elsa Schiaparelli. And it's a really interesting idea of sort of the reversal, the shoe as a hat. That's always a good visual trigger to think about what if you did, or whatever with this book here, which is Whatever You Think the Opposite by Paul Ardern. So whatever sort of strategy you're considering, it's good to like sort of think of the opposite thing and really expand out those task ideas. And think beyond the issue of what you're looking at, and how could you do things deliberately differently. You know, what would be ridiculous? That's really great to really kind of think about those things. It's okay if you think about them and discard them, but it's really good to kind of get them out. You know, what couldn't you do? What is something that you absolutely couldn't do, and what would be silly? And you know, really try to broadly think about how things can be really fully explored with all these different tasks, and online as well as on campus for students. What would work that you could think of? Just really explore all those ideas. For 1A as well, the design process and iteration for a high distinction. You want excellent scope of design process, outstanding demonstration of giving and receiving feedback, clearly incorporating weekly feedback into process and design decisions. So you can just use screenshots of your feedback and your the process that you've done, and how that's informed the way that you've moved forward. So include the feedback that you give as well, and that's really important, as I said, for helping you to reflect on your own work. Then The reflection of feedback is that excellent breadth and depth of reflection, describes events and articulates a rich response and analysis, as well as implications for future learning. So what do you take away from each of those sort of experiences as you're going through your design process? So the key points there are a completion of the weekly tasks, and at a minimum that should include task 1, ideas for Swinburne mental health, task 2, persona development, which is audience, which we'll move on to next week, I think. So 3 developed personas for your target audience. Positioning, that's a minimum of 3, and we'll have a look at the 1B criteria in a minute, and that also mentions a certain number to have completed for a high distinction. Task 3 is positioning, so the positioning matrix with revisions based on feedback. The sketching concepts and ideas, so mind maps, mood boards, and 3 different design concept sketches, including a minimum of 2 different media touchpoint applications. And the design process, so how have you arrived at your chosen design, and show the development of the process, and make notes and make it really clear why you made particular choices. And then, of course, the reflection and feedback, share ideas that changed with comments by peers, changes because of research, etc., and note down this in the document. And you can see this image here. This is the ice cream booth. And this was like a really crazy idea that this student developed to respond to Mental Health Week, but it was actually really fun as well. And I think it was, I'm not sure if they went with this one at the end, because this was from a few years ago now. But a really fun idea and a really great sort of exploration of all of the things that we've been talking about, like what's the opposite you would do, and how could you sort of approach it from a different angle, and everything like that. And I've got a really great video as well. I made a spelling mistake there. Gibbs reflective cycle is a way of reflecting on each of your reflecting on your work, so that you're moving beyond the description of events that happen and into, you know, why you have like what parts you've taken forward. So I'll share that with you on there as well, just to give you that a bit of information about how you can actually, I might have a screenshot of it. No, I think it's in our book. Sorry, I think it's in a different folder. Joanna, okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't see your comment. That's really hot up there where you are. That would be nice. I really love the heat. So our ideas need to work for online and on-campus students. Yeah, that's a great question. Let's have a review, because I think this one might be asking you to have a closer look at online students. You can just identify, it's just your identified audience. So you can target online students, or you can target on-campus students. Yes, yeah. You can just whoever your identified audience is. Yeah, you don't have to do it across both. Yeah. Okay, so the 1B presentation guide. So here is just a suggestion of how you might break down that time. So to introduce yourself, then describe your campaign, issue and sponsor, And you want to include, here in the first one, at least 3 key research facts or insights about the issue, and a profile of the sponsor, and a review of the existing Swinburne mental health campaigns. Then who is your audience? And you want to include demographic information there in your personas. And then the why, so the benchmarking existing campaigns. And also look at other university mental health campaigns, and any that might even have younger people or academic staff as an audience. You can use academic staff, I think, as an audience as well. And then you want to think about how you're going to differentiate or be positioned in relation to, what already exists. So that's at about week 3, I think we do that. And then the how, so the message, concepts, and media. So brainstorm words and visuals that may relate to your campaign. So for assignment 1B, the criteria starts with the presentation. So that is 20% of the mark for 1B. And for a high distinction there, you want excellence in clarity, well organised, no writing or referencing errors, and meets the time limit. And when I say meets the time limit, it's plus or minus 10%. Generally, that's a rule. So there's a little bit of leeway there, but try to keep it as much as you can to be 7 minutes. It's 5 to 7 minutes, isn't it? Or is it? Oh, sorry, 7 to 9 minutes. 7 to 9 minutes. So it's plus or minus 10% of that. So if you go a bit over 9 minutes, that's okay. So that's incorrect there. It's longer. So write what you're going to say before you start. That's a really great thing to do, to write down for each slide, and make the key points, like list them out like this, but don't necessarily read out all the slides word for word. And also take time, maybe even to practice it once or twice, to vary your speech pattern, and tell it in an interesting way as well. So there is an element of story, to doing the presentation. You've got the beginning, you're setting it up for us. Then you've got the middle, where you're kind of delivering all the meat of the presentation, and then you've got the end, where you sort of sum it up again and finish up. So lay it out nicely as well, and use really great pictures. Make sure you do check for spelling mistakes, and dynamic spelling is something that I'm always reminding people that is in InDesign. It's not foolproof, but it can be really helpful. There's been a lot of spelling mistakes I've seen over the years, so it's really something to pay attention to, because it really does change if there's like heaps and heaps. If there's 1 or 2, that's okay, but heaps and heaps of them really does change the professionalism of what you're producing. And then you want to upload it to YouTube, or you can use Vimeo if you like, and just have it as an unlisted one. Or if you are doing a private one, make sure you put in the password into the submission point as well. So the next part of the criteria is strategy. So an outstanding and thoughtful strategy based on expansive evidence with 7+ references. That's for a high distinction. I live by Grammarly. Yeah, Joanna, does that work in InDesign? I love Grammarly too. I love it. Oh, what do you copy and paste it into, like a Google Doc or something? Email. Clever. Yeah. Yeah, I wish it did work in InDesign. Yeah. Oh, okay, into the app. Yeah, it's really so helpful. And I had, just from doing my emails actually, using Grammarly really improved my typing speed and my spelling. So that was great. That was a really unexpected outcome. Strategy is covered in week 1, and thinking about strategy, it's a plan for how you'll achieve a goal. and you want to make a cohesive one for your idea. And the first sort of step in that is asking questions in all of human-centered design. It's just asking those questions. So how can you achieve that goal? You want to combine all the creative and business elements in one cohesive plan. So it's simple, it's a simple, compelling and actionable strategy and plan, and it's clear. So things to really think about is, why is the event important? How will you tell people about them and get them involved? Is there any incentives you could use to employ to do this? And how can you engage with the audience in interesting, unexpected ways? So this is a survey and a design sprint that I did a few years ago with students in this unit, and we did a pre-survey party and a post-survey. Well, they were called parties then, but now they're called design sprints. So we did a pre-sprint survey and a survey after the sprint to understand if, for online students, this idea of the design sprint is useful to them, and if they find it helpful. And over the years, each time I've taken this class, I've given this information to students, and some of them have used it in their projects. And the questions are things about, today I'm feeling like, how you're feeling in the before the sprint, and if you're looking forward to it, and if you feel like you're keeping up with the work, and if you have outside pressures. And then afterwards it was, were you able to come, and after you, like, how you're feeling. It was rated on a scale of 1 to 10, and you enjoyed the session and felt more connected to other students. And overall, there was an 11% improvement in wellbeing attending the sprint sessions. And so over the years, when students do this project, some of them use that data in their projects to for online students, to suggest that they engage in a session like that. So that's a little strategy that you can use for your if you choose to do online students. And also, I encourage you to do surveys with your students, other students in the unit, or students that are in other units. And I'm happy to put out surveys for students if they want to ask students questions for their own Google surveys as well. And that could be a great way to get sort of information for your projects as well. Positioning. So the positioning is a really important part for a high distinction. We want advanced positioning, clearly differentiates, and is very unique, based on 7+ campaigns. So this is a positioning map, and this is covered in week 3. And it's really about thinking about what other choices does your audience have, and who those major competitors are. What are the organizations and the other campaigns that are in the same space? And you want to research and evaluate each competitor and consider what their message is, what their strengths and weaknesses are is also a really good one to consider. And what sort of media do they use when they are communicating with their audience? Are they mostly online? Are they mostly like a video, like on YouTube? Like, what's their key sort of platform that they use? And then even consider, is that because that platform is mostly used by that audience? Is that the reason why they've used that platform? And those type of things, to really get into understanding what their strategy is aimed at, and how you can either how you can sort of exploit that, or if that gives you any other ideas for how you might communicate with your audience. So you want to think about, who is it for, the market and competition, why are they doing the campaign, and include any current Swinburne mental health campaigns also, and how will your proposed campaign differentiate or be positioned in relation to what already exists. And of course that will go into a lot more detail in that in week 3. Then we come to audience. So for high distinction, we want excellent personas, clearly represents the audience based on expansive evidence with 6 or more personas shown. So for the key points, we want detailed personas, so they're in week 2. And it's really good to have a really good look at the audience, of course, and use evidence for the decision. So information from the Australian Bureau of Statistics or National Union of Students, or there's a few other really good sources as well. The Swinburne Annual Report. And you want to use at least 3 finished personas to represent the staff and students or whoever is your target audience. Insight into both the persona and the evidence and how they inform each other and raise further questions or areas for investigation, etc. when conducting research. And how does your evidence and your persona connect and inform your strategy? The demographic chart of audience and personas, so include demographics, and at the end you want to circle back and think about if that persona really links to the strategy and if it hits the mark. And finally, we've got clarity of concept. So for high distinction, you want excellent clarity across verbal and visual messaging, and it resonates well with the intended audience. So that is covered in week 4. So is there a cohesive strategy for the campaign? And have you clearly communicated to the intended audience? And are those verbal and visual messages clear and connected to your strategy as a whole? So you're thinking across all the platforms that you're using, is the tagline clear? Does it make sense? Does it work in the different platforms that you're using? And what's the big idea that that hooks people in to your concept as well? So there's a really strong link between your audience and your concepts, and your audience and your touch points. And they're all informed by research and concept development and feedback as well from your peers and teacher. So any questions so far? All right, so let's have a look at an example. What's this one? Is this a 1 or 1B? I'll have a look at the 1B first, and then we'll have a look at the 1A after that. So this is this student's slides that she's used. It's a great idea, Joanna. Yeah. Have you got ideas yet? And have you put them on Miro-bot? Not yet. Cool. Can we do a couple of different events for the campaign throughout Swinburne Mental Health Week, or just the one running throughout the week? Great question. You can do as long as they were all connected by a theme. So you don't want to do you know, holding puppies and then also painting or something, because they wouldn't be connected. But if they're all connected, like if they're all about using art or something, then you could definitely, and also you could describe the reason why you're doing them and if they're connecting to different parts of the audience, or if they're on, you know, different platforms, or the reason why you want to use different events. Yeah. Okay, so the what. So this is a campaign that creates awareness about the importance of good mental health during Swinburne Mental Health Week. This is just a bit about the sponsor. So it'd be good to have the sponsor's logo on that page. But it does detail all of the support services, which is great. So students definitely done her research there. So it's about anxiety. And you can see this is a cascading page. Hang on, let's go back and have a look at the goals. Okay. So here she's got her lovely, Joanna, this is the slides for the video presentation this student's done. So you can see it's more of a refined amount of information. And she's got some nice infographics down the bottom there. And also she's included her references as well. Oh, this is an overall audience, sorry. Then she's got some personas, I think, coming up. And here are her personas. You can see they're diverse. It would be good to have some infographics in this page as well. Now this is 1B, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is the 1B. Yeah, she's got a lot of information on there. You could put less information on there and more information in your this is from a few years ago now, which had, you know, slightly different requirements for the assignment. So why? Then she's got her best practice review of competitors, and the strengths and weaknesses is always really good. And then she's gone a little bit into more detail. I don't think these are the ones. Oh, yep. So she's got some more information about the competitors. And here's her positioning matrix. So I like these ones where they're looking at the amount of media. I think that's really useful for when you get to the touch points to consider how they're communicating with their audience. Looks like the bottom of this is cut off. What she's saying, what she's looking at there, the difference between the amount of media used and the sense of community. So that's really interesting that she's looking at there. Yeah, and this is another good one if it's aimed at a larger audience or a more specific audience. It's more targeted. And how. Now she's up to her how. That says how to help. So then she's gone into her brainstorming campaigns. And these are her ideas for her activities. So that's the implementation of it. So when you get to this one here, when you're talking about your concepts, it's really great to have in your presentation this type of thing where you've got like a really clear visual of what it will look like with a sketch. Some students will do a mock-up. Then it looks like this is a mock-up down the bottom here on the right, where she's got sort of guerrilla advertising there. So it's good to put a clear sketch, this sort of mood board here with some ideas of the visuals and the color scheme. I find all of those things really helpful to be clearly getting an idea of what this idea will look like in practice. So let's have a look at her 1A assignment. So here she's started off with her mind maps, and she's thinking all the different ways that she can, just lots of different ideas, and her research into what they offer, the past events, lots of student statistics. So you can see she's just pulled some of these pages out and put them into here. Which one is that? I might have it here to show you too, Johanna. Is that Gems? Yeah. I wish I had her video to show you. She did a really great video. And her, maybe I'm thinking of her second assignment. Do we need to do that asking for a friend? Yeah, you don't have to. No, you don't have to do that much. She's done really in-depth research, and she's also really good at documenting that research and engagement with the topics. So I guess it just really depends, you know, what your own goals are. You can meet all the requirements really well without going into that much depth. I think that's true, Joanna. Yeah. So yeah, that student's got a lot of detail, but Gemma's is really detailed. I forgot about that one. Do you want to have a look at that one on Miraboard? Did you want to walk through that one, or yeah? Yeah. Yeah, she does have some cute little design elements, correct. So this is her presentation. Yeah, so she's got really lovely slide layout too. It's all really clear. And she's got a key quote from her persona as well, which is really great. This is a lot of information for a slide though. So you can keep sort of more information in your journal. You find all of that information in the Swinburne annual report, I'm pretty sure. (2020), yeah. So this student won't have got the 2021. She'll have different statistics. So you can just download it there. And that should, yeah. I think there's a bunch of important information document, summary of facts. which I might have put on Miro board, and that has got no, I didn't put it there. Just bear with me, I'll just copy it across. Yep, here we go. I'll just copy this over for you. So this is just in the assignment, so you can download it there. Actually, I'll copy it. You should be able to download it from here as well. And this is the summary of facts, and that has information on it that would be really useful. Including some of those links, I think. So this is the brief in sort of a summary of facts sort of form. So you want to look at the 5 W's to create a tool that is a tool to clarify the components of the brief. So what you want to do is promote a mental health week at Swinburne. Why? Because of the incidence of mental health concerns arising amongst young adults and tertiary students. Swinburne is the sponsor. Audience includes Swinburne students and staff, Swinburne campuses and online. When the event is in May 2019, but obviously be 2022, the event is with speakers, promotional media, including print, posters, digital, social media, and environmental. So here's some resources for students' mental health issues are being neglected. Here's some information about World Mental Health Day. There's the health and wellbeing and health services links there. And there's some more. Academics and students have mental health problems than ever before. So here's just a whole bunch of research that you can go to. And I've just put that on Miro board in the useful resources section. I'm not sure if you can download that as a doc. Oh yeah, you can. It's a Word doc. You don't need this one. So that should help to get you off and running with that stuff as well. Okay, so just going back up to this workup here. Yeah, lots and lots of detailed information that she's got, and she's got some really great positioning maps, heaps and heaps of positioning maps that she's explored. And that's really good as well to look at things from a whole bunch of different points of view. I think the minimum you're asked to include is 2. Let's have a look at the positioning. Criteria will be in. It would be an exemplar. Yeah, it's an exemplar example. Yeah, sometimes you give examples and sometimes you give exemplars, but definitely that's an exemplar. Okay, so the positioning here doesn't say how many positioning maps to do, but if you want to be considered for a high distinction, you want to be looking at 7 or more campaigns in your positioning maps, and including 6 or more personas in your audience. Okay. This is a good example of reflection as well. She's written some really great reflections as she goes through. And here's her campaign ideas. And lots of sketches and thinking about it. I always wanted a piano walkway. That reminds me of that movie Big with Tom Hanks. I don't know if you've seen that movie. It's a bit old now. Yeah. Staff Appreciation Week, gratitude. Yeah, me too, Shelley. I love that movie. There's also another one of his that I love from that period of time, which is called The Man with One Red Shoe, but it's not very well known, but I always remembered that one as well. Oh, hi, Natalie. Yes, welcome from Perth. So we're just looking at an example of an assignment here, which is already on Miro board, which is Gemma's, which is very, very detailed. We'll all agree. It's at the end of 1A. Oh, here we go. What's the time in Queensland, Joanna? 7:30. So they don't have daylight savings? No. I must say, I don't like the switch. I don't like changing the times. But I do like it being lighter later, so I'll put up with it. You can't. You can't alter time. Yeah. So you can see there's just a lot of thought that's gone into this assignment, and lots of annotations and lots of sketches and ideas, just heaps of ideas. And then each of those is sort of expanded again with a mood board, which is really helpful for understanding, you know, what direction that she's going on. And then here she's talking about how the sketching task wasn't that clear, but the additional mind maps were required for each activity to ensure the aim and target audience were well defined. And then everything came together. And she's just writing about how helpful the feedback was on moving forward with the sketches. And then this is her slides, her presentation slides that she's put at the end. So any questions about the assignment so far? I think I've incorrectly labelled these actually. It's a really fun assignment, and it's really great thinking about, you know, students and mental health. I'm going to move these around because it's supposed to be down here. Oops. Before I forget. All right, great. So should we make the slides interactive using InDesign? I feel like we should, considering we did a whole subject on that previously. You can use InDesign if you like. What subject was that? Was that recent? I've seen some really good presentations, interactive typography. Okay. I don't know if that's, I mean, I used to make interactive magazine apps, but I'm not sure that it's that easy now to do it in InDesign because some of that technology, yeah, some of that technologies, I don't think it's used. Oh yeah, fun. Yeah, it does sound like fun. I think you had to have Adobe Viewer for that, to preview it and things. So I'd consider just doing it in normal InDesign if you like, or you could do it in seen some really good ones that students have done in PowerPoint actually. So I think PowerPoint's come a long way. And the other one that's really surprised me was Canva. We've got some really nice slides, and of course Google Slides as well is really easy to use. And you've got presentation mode in Google Slides as well. So you could use any of those to present your pictures. I do like InDesign because you can, you know, lay out the page a bit easier, and decide where the image is going to go all the way to the end of the page and things like that. Some of those other ones you get a bit limited with that. That's what I like it. Let's see. Oh, it says access denied. I can't review that. What's the subject number? Oh, do you know the unit number? Because I could just look it up that way. Oh. Yeah, you can do it however you like, Joanna. If that's what you can do it the easy way. There was some really good interactive stuff I saw in Capstone Unit that some students had done in Microsoft Word, not Microsoft Word, PowerPoint. But yeah, use InDesign if it's easy. I find it easy. I find it great to use InDesign actually for slides. Yeah. Yeah. I find the other ones, I can't make the picture go all the way to the edges, and sometimes the layout changes when I've come back to the file later on. So that's, I just like them to stay how they are. But some people love Microsoft Word and they love PowerPoint. So, oh, you just submitted that project 3 days ago, Katerina. Wow. So is it in InDesign? Oh, okay, cool. Oh, yeah, right. You did the on campus in in talking marks because it was online. Cool. Well, if you don't have any more questions, or do you have any more questions? Because I might jump onto Miro board and get back to you all. Yeah, cool. Okay. Well, I'll download this now and this presentation now, and I'll chuck it on Miro board as well for any of you, for you, Natalie too, who dropped in late. Yeah. Cool. All right, great. Thanks everyone. I'll see you soon. I'll see you on Miro board. Thanks. Thank you. See you later.